everyone, class is in session. That's right, it's Jack from cultaholic.com, back once again with another edition of the smash hit YouTube video series Graded, where we take a look at wrestling shows and grade them on a scale from A+ down to F. A quick word on the grading system, because I've had a lot of flack for this and I've explained it on Twitter. Essentially, yes, in the first ever episode of Graded, I said we're not going to bother with pluses and minuses. We're just going to go A, B, C, D, E, and F. Then Mr. Pacitti didn't realise or forgot or something. He did his first episode of Graded with pluses and minuses and stuff. He betrayed me. What a snake. What a Judas. So I just thought, you know what? Let's just go with the pluses and minuses. And since then, I have been branded a hypocrite. And I'm not too pleased about that. But without any further ado, let's just get on with it and take a look at this week's Monday Night Raw, which of course emanated from London, England, the United Kingdom. My ends. Get your cups of tea ready, get your biscuits, get your third English stereotype, and let's get cracking and look at all of this week's Monday Night Raw. This is Graded. We open things up with a very strange opening segment. Yes, Roman Reigns' music hit, and yes, of course, the fans all booed. And the boos were kind of magnified because it was obviously an English crowd, and they are generally smarkier than a lot of the typical crowds we see on Monday Night Raw. Not all of the American crowds, you know, if you go to places like Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, they're about the same level of smarkiness, but whenever Roman Reigns comes out in those markets, it's very obvious, or smarkets, it's very obvious that the hatred for him is even more intense than usual, and that was no exception here. He came out, hit the ring, and it was so weird. He once again said, I've been screwed, I've been, you know, it's not fair, management are against me, and I'm starting to think, are they doing this deliberately to engineer a heel turn? Because it's reminding me a little bit of when Bret Hart turned heel in the mid to late 90s in his feud with Austin, because he started complaining a lot about being mistreated, and you know, it was eventually seen as whining by the fans, and they turned on him as Austin turned babyface at the same time. Are they doing that, or are they just trying to plough the same track that they have been for the past sort of 4 years? I honestly can't tell. Then Kurt Angle, the general manager, hit the ring, and it was a weird exchange between the pair of them. Have you ever seen that episode of Family Guy where they do a spoof on like a British drama, a BBC drama, where they go, look, it's condensation. What's this on the window? That too is condensation. That's how I felt that this promo was. Roman was going, you screwed me, Kurt. WWE management are against me. And Kurt went, I'm sorry, Roman. I did what I had to do. It was best for business. What Kurt did last week was not give Jinder Mahal a path into a Money in the Bank qualifier, and Jinder then rebelled and, you know, came out in the main event and cost Roman Reigns his chance to get into a Money in the Bank match. Roman then said, just put me into one of them, make it a fatal four-way. Kurt said, that's not really how things work. And Roman went, I understand, you've done what you've had to do, now I'm going to do what I've got to do. Oh, he's so badass. He's so cool. He's so sexy. He then marched backstage and beat the hell out of Jinder Mahal, which seemed like a bit of a bully move to me. They fought onto the stage. Kurt Angle came out with some referees and everyone, split it up, and that was your opening segment. It was very odd. A bit later on, some more stuff with Roman and Jinder happened, but I'll cover that as it happened. I will mention that Jinder sort of had a brave babyface moment backstage in the medical room, where the referee, the medical guy, had taped up his ribs and gone, you can still wrestle if you can fight through the pain. And Jinder went, I can do it. I can fight through the pain. It was so heroic. I was baffled. I was very confused at this. On the whole, I'm giving this segment a D-. It was very strange. It didn't, you know, represent a feud that I want to see personally. I don't want to see Roman versus Jinder, really. I don't think many people would disagree with me there. Also, it just made Roman look like a dick. If it's deliberate, it's genius, but I don't think it is wholly deliberate. I think they don't really know what they're doing with him. So the whole vibe was weird. The stuff with Roman and Angle was a bit strange as well. The delivery wasn't on point, and it's just not what I wanted to see. It gets a D-, but at least the crowd were intense, you know, at least it got Raw off to an emotive start one way or another. I'm not sure that's a brilliant excuse. Next up, the Intercontinental Championship match between Seth Rollins, the champion and the current MVP of WWE, alongside probably The Miz on SmackDown, versus Kevin Owens. This match was great. It was a wonderful TV match. Never really strayed too often into that higher echelon that pay-per-view matches or good pay-per-view matches often reach. But at the same time, there were some very big highlight spots here. I'm talking, of course, about Seth Rollins' excellent, thrilling Falcon Arrow on the apron, which destroyed Kevin Owens. It was brilliant. Then Owens got his revenge with a sort of, from the top, he did a fisherman's, I think it was a fisherman's buster? Fisherman's suplex. He did a big move from the top, which Rollins sold wonderfully. And then Rollins rolled out the ring very cleverly to avoid taking a pinfall. Owens got him back in, but then when Owens went to get back in the ring and stuck his head through the ropes, he was met with a stomp from Rollins. 1, 2, 3. What a great match to kick off the show. I'm giving it a strong B+. Could have been an A- even. But I'm giving it a B+ because there wasn't really much of a feud building it up between Owens and Rollins particularly. I don't know if they even interacted beforehand, but at the same time, it was a really good match. So I think B+ is a fair grade. Next up, oh man, probably my least favourite part of the whole show. This was a recap of what went down at the NBC Upfronts, which I believe are some kind of television awards ceremony, where basically they built up the next big Raw Women's Championship match between Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey. Didn't bother doing this on WWE TV at all. I understand why they did this at an awards ceremony, purely because WWE often want to court mainstream media attention, and I totally understand that, I get it, but I think this could have been handled a lot better. The balance could have been there more. Rather than build it up entirely away from the product itself, build it up a little bit in the product, then fire off the big announcement at whatever award ceremony you want, but don't just weight it entirely towards the mainstream media. Like, give the wrestling fans something. Give us something. Oh. Basically what happened was Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey were being interviewed. They were having a lovely time. Charlotte went, woo, and then went, Ronda, you do the woo, and then Ronda went, woo, oh, it's a bit weird when I do it, even though it sounded perfectly fine. I don't understand. Then Nia came along with her Raw Women's Championship and went, well, Ronda, can you hold this though? Oh, and Ronda went, I'd like to in the future. And Nia went, that's good luck, that's big coincidence. I'm about to challenge you for a match at Money in the Bank for my title. And Ronda went, all right then. And then they sort of, you know, had a friendly rivalry kind of moment. And then Charlotte got back in between them and went, woo! And then Ronda went, woo! Oh, it's still weird when I do it. And I was like, the tone of this is all over the place. I had no clue what was going on. Ultimately, I'm going to give this an E. I really didn't enjoy this. It sounds harsh, but I really didn't enjoy this. I don't enjoy the booking of it because I think it's way too early for Ronda to be getting a title shot because it kind of backs WWE into a corner. If they give Ronda the belt, it might be a little bit of an unpopular decision because people will say she's not ready yet. Why are you not saving this for a WrestleMania moment, especially if she wins? But then if she does win, does Nia Jax's whole rising above Alexa's bullying storyline kind of go down the toilet? Did that not mean anything? And then on the other hand, if Nia wins, then you've just blown Ronda Rousey's entire beginning in WWE. Like, what was the point of her looking so strong at WrestleMania 34? It was so weird. It was like, imagine if Rock and Austin had built up their WrestleMania 17 clash on the Ellen show and then had a dance-off afterwards, and then Charlotte Flair had come in and gone, woo! It was so strange. It was my least favourite part of the show. Next up, a Money in the Bank qualifier between No Way Jose, Bobby Roode, and the Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin. Very serious man. Basically what happened was here, No Way Jose made his entrance, and I haven't yet had time to go back and try and spot which members of his entourage were notable UK indie wrestlers, but I'm sure there were quite a few. In fact, I think I saw one picture where my boy Jack Sexsmith may have been there. I think. Can we confirm or deny that in the comments, please? The story of this match was essentially that Baron Corbin had the match won. He hit deep 6 on Bobby Roode, but then Jose broke it up, and then Corbin threw him out of the ring. No, Bobby Roode threw Corbin out of the ring, hit Jose with the glorious DDT, and pinned him to progress to the Money in the Bank ladder match. And then Baron Corbin was on the outside, looking really cross. Really, really cross. This is probably going to set up another match between Corbin and No Way Jose, you'd imagine. But on the whole, it was an okay match. There was nothing wrong here. I'm going to give it a C- purely because it didn't really grab my attention that well. But it was a shade under average just because the crowd weren't too invested in any of the three guys, and it's so sad to see Bobby Roode like that once again. I repeat this every week, but Bobby Roode needs to turn heel. Please turn heel, Bobby. We're all begging for it. It's not your call, mate. I know it's not your fault. WWE, please turn Bobby Roode heel as quickly as possible, please. Thank you. Next up, first of all, we went backstage to a little segment between Kurt Angle and Kevin Owens, where Owens was furious because he just lost to Seth Rollins, and he said, look, give me another rematch. I deserve a rematch. And Kurt Angle went, you absolutely don't deserve a rematch. You've just lost to Seth Rollins, and you're a bit of a troublemaker as well. Kevin Owens went, I'm going to ring Stephanie McMahon, and she's going to bollock you for being a rubbish GM. And he got his phone out and wandered off like, ha ha. Then we headed to the next match between the B team. Who are the B team, I hear you ask? All will be explained. The B team and Breezango. The B team are the rebranded Miztourage, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, and they had a perfectly normal match against Breezango, but I'm giving this a B because like it probably wasn't as good a match to earn a B grade, but I really enjoyed it because of how ecstatic Dallas and Axel were when they won. They won the match with a nice double team neckbreaker kind of move, and then cut a promo afterwards, and they were just ecstatic. And if this sets off some kind of run towards a Raw Tag Team Championship match, then I'm all for it, because they've gone from being two of the least interesting guys on the roster, essentially just the Miz's sidekicks, to one of the more intriguing stories on Monday Night Raw, I'd say. I mean, I can't work out if they're heels or lovable baby faces or what, but I really enjoy what they're doing right now. They're kind of like how the Fashion Police were a little while ago. It's kind of like they're heels sort of, but they're just on the cusp of a babyface turn, and I can't wait for it to happen. So yeah, this gets a B. Love the promo, love the win for the boys. I'm a massive now fan of the B team. Come on, the B team, come on. Also, at school I played for the rugby B team because I wasn't quite good enough to get into the A team, so I relate on a personal level too. Comment section now, like, Joe, you were never on the rugby team, look at you. I was on the rugby. It was before we'd all hit puberty, that everyone was at different stages of development. It was very unfair in hindsight. Next up, a 6-woman tag team match between the Riott Squad, obviously the only heel stable in the women's division, and 3 baby faces just kind of picked out of who they had. So you had Natalya, you had Sasha Banks, and you had Ember Moon. This match it suffered from a tired crowd. The crowd were kind of getting a little bit burnt out by this point. They'd come back a little bit later on in the show, but this was a bit of a dead spot in the show, and it was kind of boring for the most part. But then, when the babyfaces made their big comeback towards the end, it was actually pretty exciting. Sasha Banks hit a move to the outside. Ember Moon hit a gorgeous suicide dive to the outside. It was brilliant. It was like straight as an arrow. She was absolutely fantastic. And then while all that was going on the outside, in the ring, Natalya slapped the sharpshooter on Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan tapped out, and the heels had to carry her up the ramp going, oh, we'll get you next time. But Liv Morgan was like, she couldn't walk because of the sharpshooter. So I did enjoy that. I didn't enjoy the match on the whole, but I enjoyed little elements of it. Ember Moon's suicide dive, it was fantastic. But I'm going to give it, straight down the middle, a C grade. Next up, a pretty short match between the Raw Tag Team Champions Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy and the jobber team of the Revival, which pains me to say. They got the jobber entrance and everything. It wasn't great for the lads. They healed up for a lot of the match, Dash and Dawson, I mean. They worked the leg of Matt Hardy, and they even made working the leg look interesting and fun because they're just excellent professional wrestlers, but they were treated kind of like jobbers. Bray Wyatt got the hot tag, cleaned house, and the babyfaces steamrolled their way to a pretty straightforward victory. But one thing that I did enjoy was the B team, I nearly said the Miztourage, the B team taking notes backstage because they fully won those Raw Tag Team Championships. Really enjoyed that. The match was okay, a little bit above average, but as I said, very short. So I'm going to give it a C+, and I'm very interested, again, to see what the B team do next. I'm all about the B team, man. I'm all about the B team. Next up, Sami Zayn hit the ring for a rare heel promo on his own. Kevin Owens was nowhere to be seen, because as we'll find out, he had plenty to do on this week's Monday Night Raw on his own. But yes, Sami Zayn hit the ring alone. There were so many funny things that happened here. I'm trying to remember them. He likened himself to Prince Harry, which was excellent. Prince Harry, of course, is about to get married soon. We're not getting a national holiday for that. Feel a bit entitled asking for a national holiday for the royal family's wedding, but we should get one. We absolutely should get one. We've had ones in the past. I remember when I was younger. Always used to have a... It's not that important, but we didn't get a national holiday for that, so I'm not going to watch it. Sami Zayn likened himself to Prince Harry. He then said again that Bobby Lashley gave him vertigo, which is why he couldn't go to Saudi Arabia. We all know that's not the real reason he didn't go to Saudi Arabia. Then he brought out a doctor's note and put on his little reading glasses and in infuriating, little aggravating heel fashion read out his doctor's note and said, oh, yep, I've got vertigo, but don't worry, Bobby Lashley, I'm going to get revenge on you. How is Sami Zayn going to get revenge on Bobby Lashley? Ross will be delighted to know that Sami Zayn is going to bring Bobby Lashley's sisters to next week's Monday Night Raw and prove that Lashley's whole family man image is a lie. If you watch that Bobby Lashley video package from last week, it was insane. He revealed some very dark secrets about his sisters. He said, oh, they used to tie me up in the woods and just leave me there for hours, and laughed it off like it was a big family joke. And everyone watching was going, are you all right, mate? That's not normal behavior. So I'm really pleased that Zayn's going to bring them on to Monday Night Raw. This promo gets a B+ because the material in the hands of another wrestler would have been awful. He worked miracles here with what he was given. My respect for Sami Zayn, it's always pretty high, but it's gone up even a little bit further with just how well he did with the material he was given here. So yeah, B+, well done, Sami. You're just the best. Next up, another Money in the Bank qualifier, this time for the women's match between Alexa Bliss, Bayley, and Mickie James as well. Alexa Bliss made her entrance as Sami Zayn was leaving, and he gave a wonderful, like, nerdy tip of the fedora, even though it's not a fedora, but he gave a tip of his hat to Alexa, and she kind of went, thank you, go away now. It was fantastic. I love little interactions like this in wrestling. Two superstars who aren't necessarily in the same storyline, giving a little interaction to each other just because they're two wrestlers and they've passed each other on the ramp. It was excellent. Genuinely one of the best bits of the show, and it only lasted a few seconds. The match itself, I don't remember too much of what happened in the match, which isn't a great sign. I remember that Bayley was wished good luck by Sasha Banks beforehand, so who knows where that's going, that slow burn feud for now. In the match itself, Mickie James and Alexa double-teamed Bayley for a little while, and then there was a miscommunication and it all broke down into a more traditional triple threat match. Alexa's heelness, yes, was on point, and then Mickie James and Bayley both got caught up trying to both get the pinfall, pulling each other out the ring and that sort of thing. And Alexa took full advantage of the confusion, hit the DDT on Bayley and pinned her to progress to the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. It was okay. I'm giving it a C. Once again, kind of saved because of how on form Alexa Bliss was. She was really good here, but the match itself was a little bit disappointing. Next up, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman and Finn Balor. This was a good match. I enjoyed this a lot. It was very exciting. You know, it was kind of worked like a traditional tag match, but whenever a hot tag happened or something particularly heelish happened, it was all done really well. My favourite moment, and I suspect your favourite moment too, came when Finn Balor went up for the coup de grace. Drew McIntyre cut him off like he pulled his leg and went, stop it. And then Strowman came charging around the outside of the ring and went, Drew, leave my partner alone. Blasted him with his big shoulder. Drew went, I've met Drew McIntyre and stood next to him. He is a large man and he got sent like a child across the ringside area and went so far that he accidentally landed next to and kind of brushed lightly Braun's Greatest Royal Rumble trophy, which just fell and just shattered like it was made of sugar candy. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Was this an accident or was it WWE's way of accidentally on purpose breaking the trophy so they don't have to show it on television anymore without angering Saudi Arabia too much? I think it might have been on purpose, but who knows. Dolph Ziggler took advantage of all this confusion and mayhem, grabbed Finn Balor, well, he crotched him on the top rope, Balor fell down and Ziggler scored a flash pinfall and the heels won. I'm giving it a B. Solid, exciting action, and one of the stronger matches on the show. Good job, lads. Good heel work, you heel boys. Ooh, naughty. And finally, the main event, another Money in the Bank qualifier. It was meant to be Elias versus Bobby Lashley versus Jinder Mahal. But let me explain why Jinder wasn't there. Even though he bravely said he'd soldier on after Roman Reigns' heinous attack at the start of the show, he was on his way to the ring, and as he walked past a suspiciously flimsy-looking door, or wall, he was blindsided by Roman Reigns again, who just attacked an injured man, cheap shot at an injured man, speared him through the wall or door, and left Jinder lying in the wreckage. Obviously, Jinder at this point wasn't cleared to compete at all, so he was replaced by the modern-day Edge, Kevin Owens. He's very opportunistic. I remember on a pre-show of a pay-per-view a few months ago where Owens was doing the whole pre-show thing alongside Sami Zayn, and he was wearing an Edge t-shirt, and I really liked the idea of Owens as like the modern day Edge. He is opportunistic and is sneaky and will take any advantage and backstab people no matter who they are. I really like it. He's the perfect candidate to fulfill that particular role. I quite like the match itself. It probably wasn't as good as the previous match I just talked about, but it was as good in terms of like my investment in it. I really, really wanted Kevin Owens to win, essentially. And watching that, all the near falls meant just a little bit more to me. The finish came when Bobby Lashley seemed to have the match won, but he was blindsided by Sami Zayn, who interfered and hit a nice haluva kick on the outside to Bobby Lashley. And Kevin Owens picked up the victory, and they like celebrate on the ramp like best heel friends. They're friends again, which makes not that much sense, but I'm alright with it because I think we're just meant to assume that Owens and Zayn are both despicable people and will turn on each other and make up again when it suits them. So I'm not too bothered about that. Owens is in the Money in the Bank ladder match, which is fantastic. I hope he wins. I can't think of a much better Mr. Money in the Bank than Kevin Owens. As I was saying, the whole Edge comparison, it all comes full circle. The only thing I'm not too excited about is for Bobby Lashley to inevitably turn Sami Zayn into dust when they eventually meet at a pay-per-view in a singles match. So not too thrilled for that. But on the whole, I'm giving this whole match and post-match a B. I think it was okay. and a nice way to round off the show if you're a fan of Kevin Owens. The Smarky London crowd loved it, so I haven't got too many complaints there. So overall, I'm giving this show, I'm torn between a C+ and a B-, and I'll explain why. Basically, the overarching story of this show was Roman Reigns being just a dick to Jinder Mahal, and he's meant to be your big golden boy, and you're making him look like a dick. I didn't understand that at all. I guess they're trying to make him look cool and badass, but I didn't buy it. But then again, some of the matches were good, some were sluggish. I enjoyed Kevin Owens' involvement in both the singles match against Rollins and the main event triple threat. Ooh, but then there was a lot of other stuff as well. The B team as well, but you know what? Because I enjoyed the B team so much, I'm nudging this from a C+ into fittingly the B bracket. I'm giving it a B-, because it was okay. It was okay, but the Roman stuff, nah. And the bloody Ronda and Nia Jax stuff, that wasn't great either. But because I love Bo and Curtis Axel so much, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to give it a B-. That might seem too kind, but I just love the B team. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Graded. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. Adam Pacini will be here tomorrow to run you through SmackDown Live, which is also from England. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at JackTheJobber. I'm inching closer to 80,000 followers. It's taken me a hell of a long time to get there. It's really started to slow down. Yeah, never mind. Check us out at Cultaholic on Twitter as well. And follow our Patreon if you want, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, obviously, to join us.